Welcome back to The Explainer, where we take raw information and turn it into actual understanding. Listen, if you're a focused learner trying to figure out exactly how modern media captures, holds, and honestly manipulates your attention, you are in the exact right place today. We're pulling back the curtain on something incredibly fascinating. We're looking directly at a viral-style cinematic creative brief. This isn't a theory, it's the actual blueprint. It's the behind-the-scenes instruction manual used by creators to literally engineer audience captivation. We're going to deconstruct this source document step by step to expose the hidden laws of human behavior they leverage to keep your eyes glued to the screen. So let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our masterclass roadmap for today. We'll be breaking this brief down into 5 specific parts: decoding the cinematic brief, designing the visual atmosphere, mastering the pacing constraints, striking an authoritative tone, and finally, the final viewer challenge. Starting right off with Section 1, decoding the brief and looking at the overarching objective of this document. So the brief explicitly demands a very particular format. It calls it a hidden knowledge documentary style. And this is absolutely crucial. This isn't just about sharing facts. It's a presentation format deliberately engineered to make you, the viewer, feel like you're being let in on a massive secret. Instantly, this changes your relationship with the media. You go from being a passive viewer just mindlessly scrolling on your phone to a privileged insider. You aren't just watching a video anymore, you're being initiated. And this specific quote right from the source brief highlights exactly why this matters. It instructs the creator to frame the secret law as something that governs them without their awareness. I mean, just think about the psychological impact of that instruction for a second. It manufactures this sudden, completely irresistible need for you to uncover what you don't know about yourself. It creates an instant gap in your knowledge. You feel compelled to close that gap, which hooks your attention before you even realize what's happening. That brings us to Section 2, designing the visual atmosphere. Aesthetics are strictly weaponized here. The brief doesn't just suggest a cool vibe. It dictates strict, non-negotiable visual directives. We're talking a vertical format built specifically for mobile, totally saturated in a dark, moody palette of deep navy and black. Why? Well, because darkness implies mystery, right? Then it tells the creator to contrast that darkness with glowing gold or amber accents and serif text that reveals itself line by line. It even explicitly says the title must be treated like ancient, weighty text. Every single choice here is mandated to create a visceral feeling of uncovering ancient, almost forbidden wisdom. The brief actually scripts out the exact opening sequence to establish this atmosphere the second it starts. Step 1, you open on a dark doorway threshold with glowing text emerging from it. Step 2, the voiceover begins. And Step 3, a slow push-in through that doorway straight into the darkness. Do you see what they're doing there? The brief is using a literal, physical descent into darkness to metaphorically pull the audience into the secret. It's a visual funnel, drawing your mind deeper into the content right from the very first frame. But then, the brief throws in this super fascinating detail for when the content transitions into a real-life example. It instructs the creator to use a fragmented or cracked glass or like a shattered mirror visual effect. And this isn't just a trendy transition. It's a heavy visual metaphor. The real-world application of this hidden law has to visually represent a shattering of the viewer's current reality. You're breaking their previous understanding of the world, and you're doing it with cracked glass. Just, hopefully not their actual, literal phone screen. Now, what's really interesting about Section 3 is how rigid temporal limits are used to build tension. Let's look at mastering the pacing constraints. 75. That is the absolute maximum number of seconds this entire psychological experience is allowed to take. That's it. Keep it under 75 seconds. In just a little over a minute, this brief demands that the creator hook you, descend you into darkness, shatter your reality, and rebuild it. It is ruthlessly efficient. And within those 75 seconds, we get another crucial constraint: 4 seconds. The hook, that bold growing text we talked about earlier, must land in precisely the first 4 seconds, before the voiceover even starts. You are visually captured before a single word is even spoken. The timeline is so strict. First 4 seconds, the hook lands. Then the middle seconds are built strictly as reveals, not explanations. You aren't being taught, you're discovering. But consider these final seconds. The brief mandates a 2-second beat of near total silence and a near black screen right before the end. Let's just think about that. 2 full seconds of absolute nothingness in a fast-paced vertical format. It builds this agonizing anticipation. You're leaning in, holding your breath, waiting for the final drop. The tension is entirely manufactured just by withholding information. Section 4 explores the exact emotional tone of the brief. How are they instructed to speak to the audience?
And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast. It explicitly requires a tone that is authoritative and slightly ominous, and it specifically outlaws self-help positivity. It absolutely does not want upbeat, cheerful guidance. It wants gravity. It wants real weight.
Because as the brief states right here, the delivery must feel like ancient wisdom being decoded. The creator is not supposed to be some modern influencer giving you daily life hacks. No, they are cast in the role of a scholar unearthing a lost artifact. By completely avoiding that modern, upbeat advice aesthetic, the content immediately feels way more important, much more trustworthy, and infinitely more profound. The crucial distinction is this. The viewer should feel they've been given privileged information, not advice. Why does that matter so much? Well, because advice can feel preachy, right? It implies you're doing something wrong and you need fixing. Privileged information, on the other hand, makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel specially selected. The brief flat out instructs the creator to stroke the viewer's ego by treating them as an insider worthy of the real truth. Finally, we hit section 5, the final viewer challenge, and how they close out this 75-second experience. You might expect a nice, neat summary or a standard call to subscribe, but no way. The content must end on a direct, testable challenge to the viewer. Instead of a comforting conclusion, the brief demands that you are challenged to immediately test this hidden law in your own actual life. It pushes you off the screen and into the real world, basically forcing you to engage with a concept long after you've swiped away. And to guarantee that this challenge really sticks, the brief includes one final ironclad rule. No resolution or added narration after the challenge. None. It must abruptly end right there. It intentionally leaves you in a state of unresolved tension. There's no outro music, there's no friendly goodbye to let you off the hook. You are just left sitting in the silence of that final challenge, compelled to act on it purely because your brain is craving the closure that the creator intentionally denied you. Which leaves us with this final, kind of unsettling thought for today's explainer. If a strict 75-second formula of cracked glass, deep navy color palettes, and authoritative silence can manipulate human attention and manufacture that much tension, what other media is quietly governing your behavior right now without your awareness? The blueprints are out there, they're hiding in plain sight. Keep your eyes open, and we'll see you next time.